I think that we are now streaming live on Facebook. Hello, folks. Happy Wednesday. I'm Anna. I'm the editor at Aesthetic Medicine magazine, and thank you for joining us this evening. For our webinar with Beautiful Medical. The topic today, as you can see on the screen, is quantum molecular resonance. I'm just going to start again for the sake of the tape. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm the editor of Aesthetic Medicine magazine. Happy Wednesday, and thank you for joining us for our webinar with Beautiful Medical about quantum molecular resonance. I'm delighted to be joined this evening by Dr. Surbhi Virmani, who is going to talk to us a little bit about the biophysics behind the true regeneration that can be achieved. So I'll hand you over.
Hey, welcome everyone, and welcome to this webinar on quantum molecular medicine. Now, before I deep dive in, let me just say, if you were hoping on a seminar on how to regenerate your lost hair or reverse people back to 21, you are going to be super disappointed, because I'm here to talk science and not magic. Some of the breakthroughs are nothing short of wizardry, but there is no wizardry involved. We all know that regenerative medicine is about healing and regenerating those tissues and organs. Basically, we're trying to turn our bodies into their own repairmen. So imagine if your car could fix itself every time it broke down. That's a dream, isn't it? So let's live the dream. Buckle up, get ready, because we as physicians, as nurses, are now going to move away from just patching up injuries to actually growing the new body parts. So if you want to think of this as an ultimate DIY project for your body, let's think of it like that. The science is heavy, and I'm going to try to make it light. The heavy science will be made lighter. Light science, there is no light science, my friends, because this is a very, very, very deep topic. So let's go straight into it. Conflict of interest. I have none. I was actually very interested in the technology, and when I heard about it and read about it, I purchased this device for its full price. Prior to that, I did trial it out, though I must confess, I don't just spend money. And the results were simply outstanding. Coming back to regenerative medicine, we know that all cells undergo certain regenerative control mechanisms, the triple R's of regeneration. First one is cell-based, which is when we implant stem cells, or your liver regenerates, or we transplant even a full organ. That's regeneration. The second one is cell-based biology, which everyone is talking about now. Your exosomes, your polynucleotides, growth factors, that's all cell-free. But the one that we are still very, very naive to is the biophysical control. And that is what I'm going to cover today. A lot of our aesthetic procedures are essentially regenerative, let's be honest, whether it's dermal fillers, skin boosters, even devices like microneedling, HIFU, radiofrequency, your skin cosmeceuticals, your retinols, vitamin C, they all promote regeneration in one way or the other. We're not comparing it with fillers or cosmeceuticals. Let's go back to the devices. All these devices we have in the market are limited by what they can give us. All of them carry risks of side effects like erythema, pigmentary changes, infection, dermatitis, scarring, fat loss, skin marking, long recovery times, downtime, being crazy. And patients are not happy about that, they have a long downtime to a lot of these treatments. So this is where we are now entering this new world of bioelectricity. What is there in this world? Let's go right in. And this is where the science is going to get really heavy, okay? We all know from medical school these boring diagrams of depolarization, repolarization. What on earth is that? Just to summarize, all cells have an electric charge on their membranes, a resting membrane potential, yeah? If we can somehow change that resting membrane potential, bring it up, these cells get depolarized. Scientists have seen that depolarization of certain cells can actually put these cells back into their plastic state. And the depolarization of these cells even overrides their biochemical signals that promote, this differentiation. What is happening here? let's look at this. So depolarized cells that have been rolled back along this differentiation path, as we know, they also then suddenly get their multilineage plasticity back because they're not in the static state anymore. They've gone back into the semi-differentiated state. And how does that happen? That happens by all of these changes, lots of complex changes. There is calcium influx. There is modulation of voltage-sensitive molecule transporters. There is redistribution of membrane receptors, electrophoresis through that cytoplasmic spaces, activation of integrins. For those of you who know hepatology, the liver regenerates purely because of the high quantity of integrins. Yeah, so your integrins get activated. Your nuclear membranes themselves possess its own ion transporters. So the change of charges does something to these nuclear membranes, which then, creates a cascade of reactions within the nuclei. Okay, it causes transcriptional changes in our cells. We know that there are certain, signaling molecules such as the p53, etc., that come to life when these cells are depolarized. Transcription factors that like your NRF2. So lots of science out there, lots of boring science, but this boring science is what determines what we're going to talk about today. Now, not just do these changes cause, these ionic changes, it's not just all physiology, it has a massive pharmaceutical implication. We know that the third top selling drugs in the world all target ion channels. All your anesthetics, how does your lidocaine work? Sodium channel stabilization, your cardiac arrhythmics, your anti-epileptics, your antidepressant medication, they are all targeting your ion channels. We are now looking at ion channels for drug-resistant pain syndromes to get to the bottom of that. And the literature is all out there if you look in PubMed. So when you look at this, you suddenly realize how important these ion channels and ion currents are that we should just sort of keep aside in our physiology and just sort of touch base when you were either, doing cardiology or nephrology. But here we are. Every cell needs them, and all our drugs work on these channels, okay? Your kidney drugs, sodium sparing, potassium sparing drugs, they are all ion channel drugs. Okay, so we know now that all this organ regeneration, repair, even birth effects, cancers can all come from changes in electricity. We have heard of people saying, well, I live near high power lines and so many kids had leukemia. There is some truth to that, yeah? And that truth is what these scientists are trying to come out with. Okay, and they believe that modulating these ion channels is the path forward in our regenerative strategies. So now I come to the second aspect of today's webinar, which is the cytology. This is what a mesenchymal stem cell looks like. Okay, here it is. Yeah, there it is. Actively breaking up. That is mitosis in a mesenchymal stem cell, the differentiation. So what exactly are these mesenchymal stem cells? They're nothing, but they are multipotent stem cells coming from a mesenchymal lineage, right? They are found all over our body, umbilical cord, endometrial polyps, menstrual blood, bone marrow, and mostly in our adipose tissue, which is why we use adipose tissue for stromal vascular fractions and all the transplant stuff. By the International Society of Cellular Therapy, as per them, any cell can be an MSC if it is derived from the mesenchyme and it has plastic adherent properties and fibroblast-like morphology. In fact, some scientists believe that mesenchymal cells and fibroblasts are pretty interchangeable, okay? And as aesthetic practitioners, we all know the importance of the fibroblasts. So why is this thing we're talking about today so great? We are going to regenerate these mesenchymal stem cells by changing the ionic charges, by changing the electric flows around them. And we are going to do that in a non-invasive way without using heat, because heat has now become our big enemy with all these patients complaining of fat loss, inflammation, pigmentation, so on and so forth, right? So we are going to promote natural cell regeneration. Great. The guy behind the creation is Mr. Posata, who is the founder of Telea Medical, And he has followed the science from Harvard Medical School and Tufts Medical Center, where Professor Michael Levine has been leading all this research. Now, Dr. Levine, or Professor Levine, his aim is to grow human limbs. Okay, that is his aim. And this is his YouTube channel, so you can watch it if you want to. Where did he get his inspiration from? Okay, so as early as in the 1950s, scientists discovered if you chop off a salamander tail and implant it where a leg was amputated, the tail developed into a leg. Now, that's weird because the tail should have retained its morphology. Why and how did the patterning change and the directionality of cells change? What happened there? They didn't know what happened, but the reports came out. Then we had other organisms like the axolotl, another primitive organism. You can cut it up and it regenerates its limbs, eyes, jaws, all of that. But it does not create tumors, okay? It regenerates and then stops. It stops at the right time, okay? Same thing with tadpoles. They know that scientists have created Picasso configuration in tadpole cells when they're developing. And yet these cells finally go on to develop a proper frog head. So something is happening here where these cells are able to communicate and somehow create the right direction of development. And that's not just in lower animals. Our liver, 70% regenerative capacity. So you can lose 70% of your liver and it comes back. So there are some organs in our body that retain that magic. And your deer antlers, again, antlers are not keratin horns. They are live bone. They have skin. They have innervation. So all these organisms, have capacity to regenerate. And how are they doing that? Is it just by cells? Is it just the genome? Or is there some way that tail could transform into a limb? There is some communication channel that we have missed out on. And that is where all this research in biophysics comes into play. And all these papers are available on PubMed for you to read, or I'm sure the developers can provide them to you if you email them. So we are now back to this whole patterning, okay? Let's remember, the genome is only encoding for proteins. It is not telling these proteins how to come together to create the bigger morphogenetic, this organism. That is coming from somewhere else, all right? The genome is not telling cells how to make the large-scale growth and form happen. These are bioelectrical networks, and there have been multiple experiments to confirm that. Okay, while I'm talking about that, okay, this is a very interesting one. This organism is a planaria, a very primitive organism. You can chop it up. You can chop it up to, I believe, 200 little pieces. And each little piece regenerates into a full organism with a head end and a tail end, okay? And it's been doing this for millions and millions of years. And it replicates by this mitotic process, and nature has maintained it despite somatic mutations. Each cut piece develops into a fully grown normal organism, okay? No problem so far. All right. Now what happens? Our scientists at Harvard come along, and then they start delivering electric currents to these growing planaria, okay, in the early stages of their amputation within 3 hours. And what do they then develop? Two-headed planaria. They have now broken the pattern of millions of years of proper mitosis in this organism, and they've got this funny-looking two-headed planaria. So how did that happen? The belief is that the entire microtubule network was reorganized by these ionic charges. So now the charges were being carried in a different way, and that led to an alteration in the directionality of these cells, and the development was then changed. And this evidence is hard to refute. They did this with frogs. I think the stimulus was applied to the tadpole within 8 hours of development, and they managed to grow an eye, a fully functional eye. I wouldn't know if there was vision because there's no optic nerve, but the eye itself was morphogenetically completely normal. There it is. There's an eye where the tail should have been. And these are all published experiments from Harvard. The reverse of this, when you have a human embryo and you cut it in two, you get two identical twins. You don't get two half twins. So each cell knows what plasticity to take, what directionality to take, how to develop into a full form. Likewise, when you take 4 and 8 cell embryos, twins, in mice, we can't do that in humans, and somehow they mush them up together in labs. you get one intact mouse. So you don't get two mice stuck together, right? So our cells have a fantastic way of communicating with each other and resolving these issues. That led to some scientists making the statement that ion flows actually override your biochemical environments. That's massive. That is massive. And that means that these electromagnetic waves are now, they bear the entire visible universe. Yeah, it's a completely new take on medicine. Coming back to, change of receptors, change of sensitive phosphatases, integrins, cell volume, all of that, it's all been documented, which again means it bears the entire universe, really, as we know it. So evolution, biochemical, biophysical, and bioelectric. And today it is the bioelectricity that we are going to discuss, okay? That is what we're going to discuss. Now, before I move on, one little thing I want to highlight is that for all these organisms that were stimulated at 3 hours or 1 hour or 8 hours, whatever, the morphogenic changes happened days later. And it is going to be the same with the technology we are discussing today. If you stimulate stem cells very early on, you will continue to see the downstream changes for a long time afterwards. So just hold on to that thought, because I'm going to be showing you the results of these treatments as seen 5 months, 6 months, 10 months later, yeah? And all this happens because the chromatin organization has been affected. So the software of life, I call this the software of life. All the, the iron flows, our kidneys, our heart, our nerves, everything, it stops. When you're dead, it stops. Your depolarization, your electric charges stop, you are dead. That is what it is. It is the software of life. So coming back to what I'm here to talk about, the device. Quantum molecular resonance. It's just like watching the symphony of atoms that, create these resonance and movements, and a massive orchestra leading to cellular rejuvenation. Research is solid. You've got Harvard Medical School at one end, University of Rome, University of Padua, other organizations in Italy. So this isn't from somebody's, drawing room. There is solid research behind this technology. It is being used in neurosurgery, to cut the dura without creating carbonization. It is being used to regenerate lacrimal glands for patients with dry eyes. It's called the Rexonage. It is being used for physiotherapy, and I can only say it's the only treatment that's worked for my runner's knee. It is absolutely amazing, and now we have it for dermatology and aesthetic medicine. So let's go into what aesthetic medicine gives us. A little video from the makers of the device. So let's look at what they have to show us. Here it is. This is the device. This is a device, ladies and gentlemen. It's very simple, very compact. You can essentially just keep it on a tabletop. The consumables, practically none, except your gloves and maybe some electrodes. You do not pay per click, so it's not like the expenses keep running. Yeah, it's mobile, it's cheap in the long run. No consumables, very simple to use. Even a small child can plug and play. The user interface is that very simple. I mean, it couldn't have been simpler, to be honest. There it is. I wonder, okay, I'll somehow stop that. Better. Okay. There it is. So the first accessory is what we call the roller. I don't know why it's called the plasma roller, but it's essentially a QMR roller, which creates microfine beams of the QMR that penetrate your epidermis. So it's essentially just opening up some channels in your epidermis to get the waves in when the time comes. So basically couple of minutes, just open those channels, rub the roller on, painless, again, doesn't bother patients. I can turn up the energy on the roller and create burns if I want to, if that is my aim, but that is not my aim. I'm not using this device instead of microneedling, right? The second accessory that we get is the handpiece. The flat handpiece delivers the waves deeper down. So the roller was the epidermal level. This is your epidermal to dermal level. That's how deep the waves go. Again, it's a very painless treatment. There you go. You can see it's a very painless, simple treatment. The third bit is what our patients love, the gloves. The gloves give the energy out to the patient while the patient is having a massage. So my patients think this is the best thing that's ever happened to them. It's like a candlelight treatment. You know, that your therapist is giving the patients a nice massage, but what the patient doesn't realize is that we are actually regenerating the tissue while the massage is on. So it is just an amazing, amazing little treatment. Yeah. Yeah. You can sell it as a facial if you want to. If all this regenerative stuff is too much, you can just sell it as a facial. Right. And last but not the least is the mother of all handpieces. This is my personal favorite, the egg. I call it the egg because the Koreans call it the egg, but it's this rounded handpiece that sucks the tissue in. So as it sucks it in and then delivers the beams, you get the beams deep down into your dermal and subdermal level. And what sits there? Your adipose tissue. What sits in your adipose tissue? Your mesenchymal stem cells. So you've got this amazing hit on your fibroblasts in your dermis and your adipose tissue, your mesenchymal stem cells. So what is not to like there? The last bit with the electrodes is for cellulite or for patients who would rather have a hands-free treatment. You can even stick it onto their faces. I don't do that. I prefer to use the gloves instead. Cleaning is very easy. It's just wipe clean and put it in an ultrasonic machine because there is no penetration of the skin. So sterility is not such a big problem. We don't have blood contamination. And therefore, you don't really need much consumables either. Yeah, so that is the device. Very simple, very compact, easy to carry, cheap, because there are no paper clicks, no consumables. How easy is that? And what exactly is this device doing? This device is delivering quantum of energy. What exactly is a quantum? A quantum is a discrete unit of energy, any energy. It's nothing fancy. It's like going to a restaurant and asking for a cube of sugar or 2 cubes of sugar. So it's either 1 cube or 2 cubes. It's not like continuum of sugar. So it comes in discrete packets of sugar. And that's what a quantum is. A quantum is a discrete packet of energy. And this energy is being delivered to our patients by electromagnetic frequencies. Yeah, that is what it is. It's a quantum of electromagnetic frequency. And the guy behind this whole, business of quantum was a guy called Max Planck, and he developed this Planck's equation or the Planck's law. And he says that the energy is proportional, in fact, to the frequencies that go in. So what frequencies are we using for our MSCs? We are using between 4 to 64 megahertz of frequency. So this is the precise frequency delivered at a precise step that gives resonance to these mesenchymal stem cells, okay? That is why this machine is for the skin, and it is only within this frequency range. It is not like all your other radio frequency machines. So what exactly is going on? The quanta of energy are released and they hit the molecular bonds. These molecular bonds start, to move, to shake, to resonate, and eventually we find that the quantum of energy being equal to the energy in the bond, the resonance is so high that these bonds shatter. Much like, when this guy, I'm going to show you an image of this guy just coming up. This is how the molecules are shattering. It's quite interesting. But look at this guy. He's trying to sing. And listen to him.
At 1,000 frames per second. So that's slowed down 40 times. Just look at how much the glass wobbles as I sing into it before it eventually fails. Why does this happen? Well, I am singing or shouting at the glass at very close to its resonant frequency. That's the frequency it vibrates at when you flick the rim of the glass. When you sing at that frequency, the amplitude of oscillations, or the size of the wobbles in the glass, can build up over time. It's like pushing a swing at just the right moment to go higher and higher. Eventually, the oscillations are so big that the glass breaks. So if you want to break a wine glass with your voice, sing at it.
Okay, so you saw what was happening. The resonance was so high that he managed to shatter that glass. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're delivering the quantum of energy, creating the resonance. And when the resonance is equal to the energy in the bonds, these bonds will break. And when these bonds break, my friends, what is coming out of these bonds? When these molecular bonds break, nothing but good old ions, okay? Good old ions. We're getting zillions of ions being released. These ions will now create a differential of charge across the cell membrane, which is all the physiology I spoke about earlier. There's a differential of charge. There's a transmembrane potential. There is depolarization of the cells, which is essentially waking up of those cells. That is why we had that masterclass in physiology earlier in this presentation, right? So why won't it wake up every other cell? Because all cells have different resting membrane potentials. Same way as this guy sang into the glass, he broke the glass, but not the sofa in the room, because the membrane potential or the frequency of that would have been very different. And in the same way, you know, your skeletal cells are sitting at minus 90 millivolts. They're not going to get affected by this. You know, you're not going to get muscle bulking with this energy. Or your aorta or your blood vessels are at minus 50 millivolts. They're not going to work. This quantum molecular resonance device will target minus 30 millivolts resting membrane potential, which means your mesenchymal stem cells, 4-cell embryos, and 16-cell embryos. That's it. It will cause resonance in these cells and these cells alone, okay? And that is your mesenchymal stem cells now being woken up to regenerate, get their plasticity back, and differentiate into adipocytes. You don't need so much filler anymore, into better skin, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, into remodeling, into collagen production. All of that is happening by the simple resonance, okay? Again, more research papers for those who want to read more science. Again, this is a good one. So this diagram illustrates all the calcium release when QMR was applied to this muscle membrane, to this muscle fiber. And you can see all the calcium release being highlighted by the fluorescent dye. So it's all the release of calcium and the ions that generates the results. More on that. So what is the outcome that we've got? We have seen that the dermis can increase by up to 33% in thickness. That is big. 33% increase in thickness is mega, you know, in terms of regeneration of the skin. So that has been proven by our studies. But in addition to that, this is where it gets even better. Inflammatory relief. Every single device that we have in the market causes inflammation. Every single device, you name it. Radio frequency, you know, in my clinic, I've got a few devices, both, you know, with needles, without needles, HIFU, all of everything causes inflammation. Yeah, we know inflammation slows healing. You put ice on a wound, you don't heat a wound. We know the inflammatory component of aging, inflammation. So we really want to not have inflammation to get best regenerative results. Is there anything out there which stops inflammation? This does, and I'm going to show you all the results in a minute. How does it do that? By modulating macrophage functions. Your macrophages, as they get depolarized, stop releasing the interleukin-10s and 1B, which are all inflammatory markers, okay? Look at this fantastic case, hard to heal wounds. This came out of Italy. This guy could not have a skin graft because the wound was so big. He had Rexonage, and 4 months later, he was ready for a skin graft. This is all part of the anti-inflammatory response, because healing and regeneration is a balance of delivering the technology and keeping the inflammation down. And nothing else, nothing in the market does that, okay? Third thing, the collagen story. All of us in aesthetic medicine, we talk about collagen. Did you know there are 28 different types of collagen? And yet we only talk about type 1, type 1, type 1, and maybe type 3. And everybody says, my device or my treatment brings up more collagen 1. So hold on. 1 is useless without 3. Let's remember that. Both 1 and 3 are essential for structural support and cellular function. 1 is a stiff protein, gives tensile strength. 3 stores the kinetic strength and the elastic rebound. Yeah. Collagen 1 builds your scaffold with thick fibers, but it will not mature if there is not enough collagen type 3. Please remember that. So it's not just about collagen type 1. When we deliver heat to our tissues, okay, to tighten the jawline, whatever, we target the collagen molecules which exist as a triple helix, and these chains are held together by hydrogen bonds. These molecules, you know, they're held together by these hydrogen bonds, which then rupture when the heat is delivered. And these triple helices, they unwind to produce these random coil gel, okay? And eventually they start remodeling and restructuring, and you start getting the tissue tensile strength and hardening of the tissue, and you feel that there is a lift, it looks better, which is great. Finally, this then undergoes remodeling and you have fibroplasia, new collagen deposition, all great. But the patient comes back and says to you, I still have gels. What can you do? What do? There's nothing more. You've done 2 HIFU treatments. You do a third one, you're going to get peptide bond breakage. Like it's going to be worse than that hydrogen bond lysis. You will now get peptide bond lysis. Your collagen will disfigure. You're going to land up with fibrosis. You've had your 2-3 radiofrequency microneedling treatments. How many more can you keep giving without creating fibrosis or fat loss? Yeah. So you have a ceiling effect to what you can safely deliver. So all this remodeling business is very good, but there is a finite limit to how much we can achieve. We know that with all our radiofrequency treatments, we can get about 9.7% increase in collagen. Ultrasound treatments do not give, in collagen type 3, not type 1, in type 3, which we need for the type 1 to function. So, so your radiofrequency treatments giving you about 10% increase. Ultrasound gives no increase in type 3. The way those energies are delivered, there's really no increase. With QMR, and this is where it is so unique, 60% increase in collagen type 3. Again, there is nothing else out there that gives you this kind of an increase, okay? So what have we now got? You've broken bonds without heat, thanks to the resonance effect. You've created ion concentration changes. You've got transmembrane potential changes. You've got anti-inflammatory effects. You're also reducing inflammation. You're activating your mesenchymal stem cells. All of it comes together. And your stem cells now differentiate. There's no inflammation. There's good differentiation. And you start regenerating some of the lost tissue. Okay, so you've got dermis increase, inflammation relief, a cell regeneration, and type 3 collagen growth. Seriously, I mean, what is not to like? This is great, okay? Okay, this is great. So let's go in. Now, with this technology, you don't have to work with high powers. So it's not a case of let's crank up the power to get better result. Once you've got the right frequency, it will do the job, which means that it's a very, very comfortable treatment, okay? Again, it has different modalities that come with it that, go down different depths, which is amazing. So you target both the epidermis, the epidermal, so you target the epidermis, then you target the epidermal dermal area, the hypodermis, even the subdermal area, all with one device. There is no need to, have needles that are going into different depths, which is another problem we have, because for most of our technologies, we need needles, or you have HIFU where you can't actually see how deep you are. But anyways, here we are. So we've got different hand pieces to deliver different depths. And that brings me to the best part of today, the befores and afters. Now, some of these patients have only consented to the pictures being showed for educational purposes, so please don't copy them. Here we go. Look at this lady. This is one of the research patients. She's part of a study 5 months after the treatment. So she had 9 sessions, 2 months, and this is a picture 5 months later. Remember what I told you. When you stimulate cells that are developing, the results are seen much, much, much later. You have to tell your patients that this is really the long game. They will have to trust you. They have to be patient in the outcome because the science does support the outcome, okay? We're not making this up. Barcode lines. What do? Laser, filler, Botox. Look at the quality of her lips. Look at the quality of her perioral tissue. The skin is Obagi. It's not different lighting. She's also an Obagi new derm system, but forget the skin. Look at the lip and look at the barcode lines. We have worked at regenerating her lip tissue with this treatment, with those gloves, right? Phenomenal. She's delighted. I mean, her lips are looking old. She looks lovely now. Neck fold. This patient of mine has this big neck fold. I have tried every treatment I could. She's had multiple HIFUs. She's had Morphogenetic with me. She's had toxin injections. We have tried everything. Radio frequency, 4 treatments. 4 treatments, and it's a different neck. In fact, somebody approached me today, some celebrity who had seen her. So, It is there for you to see. It looks absolutely wonderful. And not just that, her entire, even her eyes, her cheeks, everything is lifted. There's no other treatment that she's had. Having said that, if you combine it with other treatments that are not inflammatory, the results are completely, you hit the ball out of the park. Look at this one. Look at her, okay? 54 years old, on a Obagi transformation system. She has had skin boosters and 1 PRP treatment, and that is all regenerative as well. And then we gave her the Rexonage. Just look at that. I mean, where do we even start? Do we start with eyebrow lifting? Do we start with volumization of the cheeks? Do I go for the lips, the wrinkles, the neck, the jawline? Where do I start? It's all there for you to see. This is the power of combination treatments. Yeah. Another one coming up. We spoke about anti-inflammatory and wound healing. We're not treating wounds in our clinics. What are we treating? Melasma. Melasma, big disorder of inflammation. Look at this. She is resistant melasma. She is on oral tranexamic acid. She is on Helioclap. She's had Q-switch lasers. She's had microneedling. She has had, she's on the Obagi system, everything. Was still not happy with this discoloration. This always has this underlying dull gray tone everywhere. Hates it, makes her feel bad about herself. And that is 2 treatments of Rexonage. In her case, it's the anti-inflammatory effect. Completely stunning. And quality of the skin. Look at the texture of the skin. 2 treatments of Rexonage. Look at the texture. This is, and this is all non-invasive, no downtime whatsoever. Yeah, more studies, eye bags. She needs more work, but we'll get there. This is 8 sessions. Eye bags are notoriously difficult to treat, and we all know lower lid blephs, and it's hard work. Okay, look at her. So she had 9 sessions over 2 months, and images were taken 3 months later, I think. Look at that. There's no surgery involved. It's wonderful. Lifting of the nasolabial folds. Yeah, more jawline. So there are some that are really good results, some that are not that great. It's not magic. End of the day, we are stimulating their own stem cells, right? And each person is different. So you've got to remember that. Mummy tummies, summer is coming, big problem. Mummy tummy, let's fix that. Cellulite. I personally don't have experience treating cellulite, but I believe it's supposed to help in cellulite. So yeah, cellulite. Wrinkles under the eyes, acne scarring. That is with the roller device that we spoke about. And I did say we can turn up the energies to work on the scars. So that's the acne scarring. So you've got this platform that's giving you almost everything. Now I'm going to show you 2 reviews from 2 of my patients. They were both self-recorded. I wasn't in the room or with them when they were recorded. So you've got to hear what our patients have to say about it.
2 amazing things about the Rexonage treatment that I've been talking about a lot on my Instagram with Dr. Serbi. The 2 main things for me as a consumer is 1, that there's no downtime. So I love that Serbi does her treatments early. So I've done it.
So there's no downtime. She loves it that she can go back to work. I do her treatment. She gets in a taxi. She goes back to work. And this is another patient. She self-recorded. So forgive the angle of the video.
And I have to, quality feels a lot better. I feel that there is the plumper. I feel like the elastin has increased, and I feel that actually the tightness of my jawlines also increased. So my biggest plus for this machine is that there is no downtime. You're not bruised. You haven't got any redness. Go out for dinner the same night. Go out for coffee afterwards with your friends. So for me, it's just been fantastic. And one other thing I just said to Serbi actually is that I think that I don't need Botox because it's tightened the skin enough for me to stave off maybe a few months of Botox, which is great as well. So saving a few pennies on that.
So did you hear that? Now, both these patients have not had Botox, I believe, since November last year. That is unheard of. I've maybe what I did with 8 months without toxin in mid-50s, and they don't seem to need it because their skins are looking better. They've got the fatty regeneration happening. So they're very, very, very happy.
Okay,
and
so
these are, like I said, they recorded their own review. I had nothing to do with it. So yeah, that is your device. It's not very big. It doesn't take too much room, which I like. It is safer than most of the stuff that we have out there. And the patients have said that there's no downtime. And these are the people who are bringing it to you. So please scan the barcode and contact them, and I'm sure they'll look after you. That's all from my side. I'm going to sign out. Any questions? Anna?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. I'm coming back on. Bear with me. There we go. Hopefully I'm back.
Hey.
Thank you. That was so interesting. I was absolutely enthralled by that whole conversation. We do have some questions for you. We've just had one that says, would this increase the outcome of stem cell treatments or other regenerative treatments, mainly injections?
Yes, absolutely. So this is the regenerative package I'm offering to all my patients. I haven't stopped the injectables. I'm still, selling the exosomes because that's what we've got. We know they work, but we are, with this treatment, we're improving the plasticity of your own stem cells as well. So it's another tool in the book to get that beautiful response out. Absolutely. The one thing I would say though, when and if you do start, you do not combine it with inflammatory treatments, because this machine is working by, by decreasing inflammation. So you can't do a treatment, let's say with Morpheus 8, and then bring them back for Rexonage the next day, because it's designed, they're two different, treatments. One is creating redness, inflammation, heat. One is hugely anti-inflammatory. So you're going to cancel everything out. So in my clinic, when patients get on Rexonage, I take them off all inflammatory treatments for a 5-month period.
Fabulous. So I was going to ask, are there any contraindications? Are there any treatments people shouldn't be having in combination with this?
So that is my answer, the inflammatory treatments. My patients are still getting a bit of microneedling, but not so much to make them raw. So we try to keep all the inflammatory mediators down, right? Because we do want that suppression of inflammation. So they're off HIFU, they're off Morpheus 8, they're off Tixel. So we don't do that in combination with this. If they've had it, great. They might have it again later in the year. But when they're under this program, they do not have any of those machines.
Fair enough. And would it increase the reparation effect of other treatments, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. You saw the pictures with that lady who had the combination treatments. So if you put them together, you will get massively beautiful results, but it's all about time and money, I guess. Patients have time, they have no money, they have money, they have no time. So if they're willing to commit to a program, of course, absolutely.
What would your ideal patient look like for this?
So most of the patients I have treated are between the ages of 50 and 70. They are not overweight. They don't suffer from diseases such as, massive autoimmune diseases or, blood disorders. So they're reasonably healthy for their age, and they are not overweight. They're just suffering from the effects of aging, which is the usual sagging, loose skin, the wobbly bits in the chin, the drooping of the eyebrows. So, that is the profile of patients I have treated. However, we do know that the technology has been used by neurosurgeons, like I said, to cut open the dura. Where ophthalmic surgeons are using it. It's called the Rexonage, and maybe an eye surgeon can, comment on that better. So it has very wide applications. My experience has been in this particular cohort of patients.
Obviously, you talked about the science a lot, and science is always evolving. Where would you say this particular form of science will go next? What's the next step, would you say, for the
So there's a company called Morphogenic, and you can Google them up. Morphogenic is being led by Professor Levin and his group. And, they are the ones really taking that science forward, dealing with ion charges and currents and development of drugs and regenerative, strategies. So you'll find them on the Tufts website, the Harvard Medical School website, and, there's loads of research papers. So every day there's something new. And I know that there are a lot of drugs in the pipeline that are targeting ion channels for, like I said, resisting pain, cancer modulation. So this is just a new sort of field where we are learning to target, it's all about RNA drugs, because we have this antibiotic resistance. Everybody is now trying to find new ways to treat patients. And ion channels are already very popular. Like I said, all the cardiac, neuro, kidney drugs. And now we're looking at, wider applications. So it's a hugely developing field of science.
And on a more like practical level, if someone was to introduce this as a new device into their clinic, what tips would you have for them to incorporate it and to introduce it to new patients?
I have been telling my patients, most of my patients are, a lot of them are working women. It's a London group. They don't like the unnatural look. They don't want filler, sadly.
Well, no downtime kind of thing.
And they don't want the downtime, they don't want filler, they don't want to look fake. And then you speak to them about, and there's a lot in the market about longevity. So that's a news. Everybody's talking about NAD and longevity, and let's take this supplement and that supplement. So this all comes in line with that longevity. So you tell them that yes, we've got the classic aesthetic treatments, but we also have another division, which is the regenerative treatments, right? And this is what we can offer in regeneration, the same way we talk about exosomes, the same way we talk about polynucleotides. This is part of regeneration. This will build your own tissue, activate your own stem cells. And if they understand the science, they're likely to go for it. Question is, you need people who would understand it, and I do know that in Korea, they have the same device that was launched later last year called the Collagen. So in Korea, they call it the Collagen. And it's hugely popular. All the therapists are using it, and they call it the Collagen egg facial. Half of them don't know what the hell it is doing, but they know the results are outstanding. So they're all doing the Collagen egg facial. So
why is it called an egg facial?
Because I think that last handpiece looks like an egg, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
It sucks the tissue in. So it's called the egg facial. And again, you can Google that. So people are loving the egg facial. It's all the rage in Korea because of the results. So even though they don't understand the science, they see the results. So you just tell them you have a fabulous facial, and then take it from there. As long as you understand the science and don't use it in pregnant women and, normal things like that. People with cardiac problems or, just be careful.
Fabulous. Well, unless anyone else has any more questions, I think that's everything. Thank you ever so much for that. That was really interesting. And if anybody would like to ask you any questions, if they have any further questions, where's the best place for them to contact you?
Absolutely. They can email me. That's wonderful.
And where could they email you, just so they've got the details?
So I'm available. You can email me in my personal email, which is drserbi@hotmail.com. That's my first name and at hotmail.com.
Super duper. And also you can visit beautyform.co.uk. Thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Thank you ever so much, Dr. Serbi. That was so interesting. And have a lovely evening, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully at the weekend at Aesthetic Medicine Glasgow.
Thank you.
Bye.